Internet is not only important, but is part of us now. We use it in our studies, at work, home, and while going about our daily errands. However, an inconsistent internet connection is common and can be frustrating. But the good news is, we are here to the rescue. At Rock Telecom, we strive to promote integrity, dependability, innovation, customer service, and open-mindedness. Visit our website www.rocktelecom.co.ug for more information. Rock Telecom. Rock Telecom is licensed by the Uganda Communications Commission.
This right here is home. It is where I belong. I know I won't wait long for my favorite song. I can tell by the way the sun's coming up from the clouds, and I hear the sound from the mouth of trumpets. Tomorrow's gonna be a better day. Tomorrow's gonna be a better day. Tomorrow's gonna be a better day.
For us, improving lives is why we do what we do.
Internet is not only important, but is part of us now. We use it in our studies, at work, home, and while going about our daily errands. However, an inconsistent internet connection is common and can be frustrating. But the good news is, we are here to the rescue. At Rock Telecom, we strive to promote integrity, dependability, innovation, customer service, and open-mindedness. Visit our website www.rocktelecom.co.ug for more information. Rock Telecom. Rock Telecom is licensed by the Uganda Communications Commission.
This right here is home. It is where I belong. I know I won't wait long for my favorite song. I can tell by the way the sun's coming up from the clouds, and I hear the sound from the mouth of trumpets and laughter. Yes, tomorrow's gonna be a better day. Tomorrow's gonna be a better day. Tomorrow's gonna be a better day.
For us, Improving lives is why we do what we do.
It's a wonderful afternoon here in Uganda, the Pearl of Africa. On behalf of Human Capital International, I would like to take this opportunity to welcome each one of us here and also to welcome everyone watching us out there virtually. We really take this opportunity to thank you. And since it's virtual and I am social distancing properly, I think I can really remove my mask and we both keep safe. Thank you once again, and my name is Nelly Orichiliza. I'll be co-emceeing with my friend who will be showing up shortly, Paul Tajuba. And we want to thank you for being part of this great event. Thank you very much for sparing your time, your precious time, of all things that you've been doing for yourself, for the organizations that you're coming from and that you're representing. I also welcome everyone here who has come to be with us physically. Our partners, we have very few numbers here because, you know, all of us, we really know what's going on. One of the great things that has happened to us of late is the digital world, because of the enhancement that has been brought in because of the COVID, because of the pandemic. And definitely, since we are really virtually present together, I am going to request you, wherever you are, to take a chance and put yourself to order so that you don't distract yourself. But for people who are here, please, we will take very seriously the point that you really have to put your phones on silence so that we don't distract each other going forward. Thank you once again for coming to the Strategic Leaders Summit of 2021. This is our third. We started in 2019. We had one in 2020, and then here we are for the Strategic Leaders Summit 2021, and our theme is agribusiness, SMEs, and digital economy in the African continental free trade area. I think all Africans really were excited about this because thinking about closing our eyes and thinking about the fact that we're going to have a single market together, that we are enabled to move anywhere that we want and work out our services and products easily and seamlessly, I think is going to be a great deal for us, and that is why we are having this theme today. We are joined by people who are from different countries. I want to welcome each and every one of you coming from, of course, our home here in Uganda, people coming from Ghana, people attending from Dubai, people that are attending from UK, attending from Kenya, Rwanda, Tanzania, Nigeria, Togo, France, and the Netherlands, and others really who are registering. I'll be updating you which countries that are coming in. We thank you for taking time off your busy schedules wherever you are and be part of this great event that we are having. And yes, definitely we would love also to thank the organizers of this event, the sponsors and the partners, and also the brain behind, once again, Human Capital International. At this moment, allow me, since this is not my time to talk, allow me to call upon our moderator. Let me introduce our moderator to all of us. We're talking about a man who is a seasoned public relations professional for over 20 decades. Two decades, sorry about that. 2 decades in public relations and marketing communication. He has honed his skills over the years at the British American Tobacco, and more recently he was at the Umeme, Uganda's leading electricity distribution company. And from there, you could tell, or actually people had to call him the guy you would want or you would love or you would desire to have in the room during a crisis, but which I also believe that you don't only need him during a crisis, but even you need him before the crisis can actually show up. He is an instrumental guy, and he was still instrumental in building Umemi's brand and bringing stakeholders together to table different topics and come to a consensus. He is the partner of Songa Communications, a public PR and marketing communications agency, serving cliently vast organizations here in Uganda and also out Uganda. He is he has a hobby, really. He has a hobby as a human being. He also has that soft heart. And so past, he has been a captain of Uganda Golf Club, and past a president of the Public Relations Association of Uganda. He devotes his time to non- and not-for-profit organizations like Hospice Uganda, and he serves on the board of directors and the Rotary Club of Kampala, where he has served in various capacity and is a president nominee of 2021 to 2022. He is also definitely a very responsible man, and he is married to the one Rosette Chantal, and they have 3 awesome children. Ladies and gentlemen, please let's come together and welcome Henry Lugamba, our moderator of the day.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone here in the room at the Sheraton Hotel Kampala, and all of you who are following us online. We have a tight afternoon, and I'm going to try to make this as interesting, as interactive as possible. Let me begin by asking the country manager for human capital to speak to us and give us some background to the human capital event that we're attending today. All of you online, the website www.humancapitalinternational.com, you'll find the profiles of all the speakers. Nelly introduced me. I want to be introducing in as much detail all our speakers when we start, because we really want to make sure that we have as much dialogue as possible. So if I'd ask Shanina to come and lay out our purpose for this afternoon and get this show on the road. Thank you.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. First, I would like to welcome you all to the 3rd Strategic Leaders Summit 2021. For some of you who may not be aware, Human Capital International, of which I am the country manager, holds this annual event with the sole purpose of discovering opportunities, nurturing and helping SMEs to grow. We believe that with our expertise, we can nurture these SMEs to grow and be able to tackle some of the critical problems that are endemic to Africa, such as unemployment, low taxation, large volumes of imports that make Africa a big supermarket for developed countries. All our summits, since we started in 2019, have delivered to the expectations of our partners, our sponsors, and all participants. That being noted, the event has been characterized by stimulating investment opportunities, networking, sharing of modern corporate governance practices, and business growth strategies. In 2019, when we started the summit, the first was under the theme Innovation, Leadership, and Entrepreneurship Development in the Times of Uncertainties. The second one, which was last year, thank God before COVID-19, was Digital Innovation and Corporate Governance for SMEs in the New Market Frontier. This year, despite the disruptions caused by the COVID-19, We did everything possible with the support of our partners and sponsors to honor your request to hold the summit that will be tackling the sector's most significant comparative advantage under the African Continental Free Trade Area, that's AfTA. That sector, ladies and gentlemen, is agriculture. That is why our theme this year is agribusiness, SMEs, and digital innovation within the AfTA. Dear participants, as the adage goes, no matter how beautiful and well-crafted the coffin may be, it will never attract anyone or make anyone wish for death. With that saying, allow me add this. However beautiful we desire or admire the developed countries, Africa is home. And it's upon us to do everything possibly we can to change what is not right on the continent and make the continent or Africa what we want it to be, what we all desire it to be. With that being mentioned, ladies and gentlemen, allow me at this juncture to thank our sponsors and partners, including EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank, Sheraton Kampala Hotel, that's where we are, our home this evening, this afternoon, Stanbic Bank, it can be, Rock Telecom, Live, Work, Rock, Oracle Technologies, Events Warehouse, East African Business Week Digital, Metajora, and the African Continental Free Trade Area. Thank you very much for your support. Wouldn't have done this without you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shanine. I believe we're going to invite EcoBank to speak to us.
I wouldn't want to remove my mask because I've had a colleague of mine die after using a microphone. So I wish it could be sanitized. Is it possible? Or I can be her. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. And my names are Annette Kihuguru, and I'm the Acting Managing Director of EcoBank Uganda. To the distinguished speakers, panelists, and participants, both here and those attending virtually, good afternoon. I bring you warm greetings from the Pan-African Bank here and from all our colleagues in the affiliates across the 33 countries in Africa. I am delighted that Human Capital International's journey that started 3 years ago of organizing the annual Strategic Leaders Summit, of which EcoBank has been the proud title sponsor for 2 years in a row, is growing bigger and better. Thank you, Human Capital, for believing in us. We are proud to have been part of this great initiative from the very beginning, premised on helping SMEs grow to curb unemployment, increase the tax base, and reduce on the dependency culture which is endemic to Uganda and Africa in general. The journey of EcoBank, which began in 1985, then referred to as the ECOWAS Fund, has continued to help African SMEs realize their potential. It is with the same desire today that we are part of this great event and the recently operationalized African Continental Free Trade Area, which seeks to make intra-continental trade vibrant, is now a new thing, is not a new thing to EcoBank. We started expanding across African countries because of that desire to help the SMEs grow. I am happy to learn that out of the 55 countries in Africa, 54 have already signed up to AFTA. And surprisingly, unfortunately, EcoBank is present in 33 out of the 54 countries. This does not only make us the preferred partner, it makes us the most practical bank. Therefore, at the commencement of this AFTA and the Strategic Leaders Summit organized by the Human Capital International, under the theme, Agribusiness, SMEs, and Digital Economy within AFTA, to say that I'm pleased is only an understatement. Last year, Uganda was listed as the world's #1 most entrepreneurial country by the Global Entrepreneurship Monitor, with 28% of the adults owning or co-owning a business. In 2019, Uganda also ranked first globally, with 38.2% of women owned business. So I think the women who are here, the women in business, I think will really matter as far as this is concerned. This means that for every 10 businesses, at least 4 are women-owned. As EcoBank, we have an array of solutions in the form of products for SMEs and have recently introduced a product called Elevate. This is specifically for SME women in business. Our flagship Women in Business product has favorable terms, especially for those seeking working capital. As you know, EcoBank is a highly digital savvy bank, and to this end, we have partnered with Google to be the official Google My Business bank. Google My Business is a platform that will enable our SMEs to see and connect with their customers. Sell your products on Google My Business across Africa and out of Africa. It is a wide business platform that will enable the business access a ready market for their products and services. EcoBank is doing all this because we believe this is where we will cause change, since most businesses on the continent are budding SMEs. COVID-19 has affected all of us, and I'm glad that together we have weathered the storm to date. As we continue to shoulder on, my advice to SMEs is to embrace technology and innovation. This is the only way we shall be able not only to solve customers' problems, but to stay in the market, but also to grow and thrive. SMEs participating in this summit should work towards innovations and ideas that will lead to import substitution and self-reliance as a continent. You may remember a few government and private sector-led projects that have been either stopped or severely hampered because of a ban on travel and movement of goods due to COVID-19. We should therefore learn from this painful experience and increase our capacity to solve Africa's problems with homegrown innovations. As EcoBank, our doors are wide open for SMEs business in this regard. Lastly, building a lasting foundation for low inflation, robust growth, and a stable financial system requires early connection in the face of uncertainty. It requires great ideas, hard work, taking difficult decisions, collaboration, cooperation and coordination, both locally and internationally, because developing a shared understanding of the challenge and working towards joint solutions is what we need. At this juncture, I would like again to thank Human Capital for organizing this event. Let us all take time to listen and take in the innovative ideas and strive to remain an active part of the game-changing process. With that, I would like to thank everyone here, and let's all open our ears to hear what we can do well as Africa. I thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, our special guest is a veteran in hospitality management, having accumulated 37 years in the sector. He has worked previously in Brazil, France, Dubai, and certainly in Africa. He's linguistic. Ladies and gentlemen, our next special guest is Jean-Pierre, the General Manager for Sheraton Kampala Hotel. Sorry, Jean-Pierre.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Is Jean-Philippe, or Jean-Philippe, or JP? It's easier. I know that JP sometimes get the confusion. It's more common Jean-Pierre than Jean-Philippe, but it's fine, Shanina. Yeah, I understand you are a bit tensed. She knows me very well. She's been here so many times. Anyways, I would like to thank all of you to be here and welcome you to Sheraton Kampala. I'm very glad that we are hosting for the third year this event, and in Sheraton is the second edition. I think it's a very important subject, especially in the moment we are living. And I would like to thank the lady from EcoBank to remind the SOPs, and I apologize. The SOPs, if they are strict followed, the microphone should be clean all the time. And that's what we have in place. I'm really sorry for the mishap, and we'll make sure that it will be followed strictly throughout all this session and any events that we have here. So, as Shenyana said, I have 30-something years of experience, but I would say that the moment we are living today, I feel like a debutant, because we are reinventing everything. Not everything, but a lot of things because of the COVID situation. Our industry, hospitality, tourism, aviation, as you know, we have been the most hit by COVID, and we will be probably the ones who are going to take longer to recover. We lost most of our business, most of our guests. We have today very low occupancies. And that's not only here, Sheraton, Kampala, but it's all over the world. When we think that situation is going to start improving, you hear that there is a new mutant of the COVID and that there is a new confinement somewhere, new restrictions here and there. So what I would say is that we'll never live, the world will never be the same again. We're not going to live back as before. We have to live with COVID. We are going to have to live with restrictions. Yes, we are waiting for the vaccine. That will help a lot. But still, we don't know, is it effective for all different mutations? Is it effective for everyone? When the vaccine will be in Africa and certain countries. Today, the vaccine is available for a very limited percentage of the population in the world. So we are, I think the spirit of resilience, it's one of the most important things that we have gone through. How to survive to that. We were not expecting that. If I recall, when we were here last year for the same summit, or when we were thinking about how the year will go, we could not imagine that in a few days, in a few weeks, we will be in total confinement here in Kampala, and that's what happened. But again, human being, we have a big capacity of adapting and overcoming situations, of being creative, innovate. And I think these are very important concepts, creativity, innovation nowadays. We have to reinvent the world. We have to invent the way we do business. In my industry, we have to reinvent hospitality. So I will not enter into detail about the business impact. You can imagine what we have gone through. One very important thing is about the SOPs. We immediately have put in place with the guidance of the Ministry of Health, and also by our company, the Marriott International. Immediately we reacted and put in place the SOPs to face this situation. So we have standards. The standards are there. They adapt little by little according to the new inputs. But most of all, yes, as you may see, we have to have the mask. We need to sanitize. We need to wash our hands. And this was really a very big thing that we have carried on with our associates here, the employees of the hotel, to make sure that this hotel is a safe place to be, to organize events, to stay, to come for eating or drinking a glass. And but that, of course, implies in different ways of working. There is a cost impact, all these things, and you may know if you provide that for in your office for your employees, it's quite expensive. The gels, all these, you buy it for office and home, so there is an impact. So we are living in what we call the new normal. So this is the new way, and it is going to remain. But we have to continue doing business. Unfortunately, the recovery is not as we expected. I remember when we went in total confinement during April and May, we thought, oh, maybe July, August, the business will be back, but the business was not back. The country continued with the total lockdown until October, when the airport reopened. And then we thought that business will come, but not. Business is not coming the same, because people are not traveling, people are scared of traveling, there is a lot of restrictions. But we still believe. Then there was the period of elections that also affected. Now elections are behind, the country is ready to start again with economic activities, but we know it will take a bit of time, because outside the situation is not good, and we need to hope and expect that maybe second term of the year. So we need to survive. The good things, let's talk about the good things, is that we could see new trends that affect our business, and that's to be thought of. And I think that you have heard about the digital, and I hear everywhere. I have been in summits like this or webinars. Everybody is talking about digital, digital, digital. We have to go to digital. It's good. It creates a lot of new opportunities for people, but at the same time, we in the industry, I cannot serve or prepare a meal digitally, yeah? So still I have to, I need hands, I need people qualified for that. But we have integrated a lot of digital solutions in our way of communicating with our guests, in selling our products, in distributing it. Home office also became a trend, and that affects us because before we used to have these big meetings. This room here can have 400 people, so today the maximum we can have is 200, so it creates a lot of limitation, and we have this in every different area of the hotel. And many companies we interact, people are still not back to office, or they come 1 week to office, the other week they are not there, so this impact is still there, and we have to take that in consideration. On the other hand, people, I think everywhere, they are tired about this situation. They want to have experiences. They want to travel. They want to discover new things. So that's a big opportunity. And we have also the opportunity of discovering, of exploring our own destination. So the concept of traveling inside, and that's what it's been happening. People living in Uganda, we cannot travel, so we are discovering the beautiful Uganda, the beautiful Pearl of Africa, and so it's an opportunity to do business, of course, and we have had a good response, because one of the first things that happened here is that people wanted to have their celebrations, weddings, and just get out of home and spend a weekend in a hotel, being pampered, having different options of food. So it's something that can work. And it's working, and that's one very important way of doing business. Nowadays, the same concepts like delivery, takeaway, I think it creates a lot of business for restaurants, for companies that do outside catering, for hotels. We started selling food, taking experience from here, home, at people's door. And this will continue because it's a comfort and people really appreciate. Our group, Marriott, and Sheraton is one of the prominent brands of Marriott. We are focusing a lot in mobility solutions, so it's related to the digital. Mobility solution meaning that we relate more and more with our guests through digital platforms. The guest can do he can do his booking, he can do his check-in, he can do his checkout, he even can use his mobile to open the door of his room. This technology, it's mandatory and it's still not here in this hotel, but it will come by the end of the year. So, and the guest, he doesn't need to pick up the phone anymore to ask for something or come down to the reception. He has, we have a program an application of chat. He just say, I need an extra towel, I would like to have my meal delivered to the room, and he can go to the menu. So everything is being put in these platforms. Menus, printed materials are going to disappear little by little and being replaced by those. You have those QR codes on the tables at the restaurant, and you just screen it and you have the menu or the options. The same for the health club, the spa. So that's a direction we are going. Marriott put a lot of focus, as I told you, in SOPs. And one of the challenges also is the cybersecurity. During all this period, we saw a rise in attempts to invade or to cause harm to our systems, our database, and it's something that we have reinforced a lot. And I think the last part that I'm going to talk, okay, there is a part also is the what we call Marriott Bonvoy, is our loyalty program. It's the most important, it's the pillar of the company because it's the way we relate, we compensate, we create the loyalty of the guests for our companies through the experience that we provide. So Marriott really put a lot of focus on that. And the last point, which is very important for me, it's what we call is the people development, human capacitation, and is directly related to what we are here to talk about: strategic leaders, about leadership. This has been a wonderful opportunity to develop leadership. We had a transformation in a company like Sheraton in the human capital. I had to make choices. I had to send people home. We remained here about 35 people when we were in total confinement. And little by little, I started needing to bring people back. But most of these people were people that were not senior or not really, they were available to stay here. They were, and still some of them are living in the hotel. There was no transportation, so I needed to have people at glance to make sure that services are delivered. So we invested a lot in creating a new generation of leaders with a lot of trainings, a lot of coaching, and this is my pride to say that today, 10 months after, almost 12, huh? Yes. We have people that really have grown. They have taken new responsibilities. They are more mature. And these are, for us, the leaders of tomorrow, the people who will take the big positions in Sheraton or other hotels or other opportunities in the industry here in Uganda or Eastern Africa or elsewhere. So it's really something that was extremely important to invest in people, and especially training, preparing these leaders for the future. I'm not going to extend more of it. I wanted to give you a little bit highlights on how the industry was affected, how we reacted. There would be much more to say, but my timing, I think, is it's over. So I would like to thank again Human Capital, and especially my friend Emmanuel Deitumi for being here, for supporting us, and I wish a lot of success for this session today. To Shenina, always present, and to all the sponsors and all of you participating today. Thank you very much. Have an excellent journey and enjoy our facilities.
Thank you very much, JP, as I normally call you, for the wonderful words that you've shared with us. Our special guests, these are people who have believed in us. And not to forget, EcoBank has believed in us from the beginning, from the first, in 2019. Sheraton as well, we thank you very much. And our next special guest, ladies and gentlemen, is the managing director of a leading media company that publishes online business news, a digital marketing agency, and a book publishing house. His leadership experience in the media spans over 20 years. He is charged with the leadership and strategic direction of the company. He sits on several SME and not-for-profit organization boards. He is married to Dr. Miriam and blessed with 3 beautiful children. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce Godfrey Ivudria. Thank you very much for believing in us, our special guests, and those that have also joined the team. We appreciate you very much and looking forward to more.
Thank you so much, Shanina, Human Capital International. EABW Digital is proud to be associated with the Strategic Leaders Summit since 2019. For any business captain, the Strategic Leaders Summit is a meeting that gives direction for the year. That's why we eagerly look forward to it every year. EABW Digital comprises EABW News, a digital marketing agency, and a publishing house. EABW News is a leading online business news website that provides definite coverage of trade, finance, investment from an African perspective. We are dedicated to provide this news as it happens on our publishing a weekly business newspaper, EABW News, has repositioned itself on the digital platform to offer our readers more value, variety, interactions, and flexibility. This way, we have been able to reach a wider African and global audience. Our readership has grown exponentially by over 300% in the last 2 years. The continent continues to grapple with the challenges of providing jobs for its young population. Our role as EABW News is to pioneer information on the issues of cross-border trade, make public available on various online platforms, and make easy to access opportunities that exist in various regions of Africa. Commodity prices, publicly trading commodities on various stock exchanges across Africa. Also, to make available policy reports that favor trade across Africa. We are excited about the theme, agribusiness, SMEs, and digital economies within Africa Continental Free Trade Area. And that's the reason why we have continuously believed in the dream that is championed by the Human Capital International in organizing the summit, and we pledge our commitment to continue sponsoring the summit in the years to come. Enjoy yourself, and thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much to Shanina for introducing the sponsors to us. It's now time to listen to our speakers, and it's been quite lonely up here, so allow me to invite Melissa, please join me from Stanbic Bank, Dr. Geoffrey Okaka, please kindly join, and Charles, please join me. I have not allocated the seats, so it's first come, first serve. Our first speaker is going to speak to us online from Dubai. I think listening to Jean-Philippe earlier about the new technology coming in, we are now able to conference with the world right here from the Sheraton Kampala Hotel. Monir is going to be our first speaker, and the way this is going to work this afternoon, we're going to have a very short Q&A with him when he finishes speaking. We have some questions that may come in online, as some people have logged into the Zoom meeting. So those questions are being monitored by Nelly and Paul, and they will advise us on the questions that come online. In the room here, if you have any questions at the end of his presentation, kindly put up your hand. We have some mobile microphones that will go around. So to start, we'll listen to Monir's talk and then engage him before we let him go. You know, the one thing about technology, you don't play with it and hang on to it. So I would want to take his questions while we still have him. He'll stay with us, but we'll take his questions before we invite the speakers in the room to speak to us. One other change in the program that you see published in the booklet you have, the keynote speaker, who is from the Secretariat of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, is not joining us, but he's being represented by a colleague, and she will have to speak to us earlier than we scheduled. So in our program, we're going to have Monir speaking, have a Q&A with Monir, invite Melissa to speak to us, and then I will switch back to online to Jamila, who is in Ghana, who will speak to us then before I invite the other speakers here. Once again, this is making the best of the situation of having multiple locations, multiple technology running this show. So we've got an exciting afternoon. Sit back, listen, and engage. It's very rare to get this caliber of speakers in one room and people who are doing so much, and I think it was mentioned by our sponsors, so much to make it possible in Africa in these circumstances that we're in. We've now got to be creative. I think Jean-Philippe used that word. We've got to be creative. So let's sit back, enjoy this afternoon, listening to the speakers, and without much ado, do we have Monir online so that we can see him and wave to him?
Yeah.
Hi, Monir.
I'm just here. Hi. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the summit. We're here in Kampala. I know it's not as hot as where you are in Dubai, but we're here to listen to you.
Yeah.
Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much. If you may just ask to allow me to share my screen. I'm still not able to share. Yes. Okay, just to confirm, everyone hears me very well and see my my presentation in presentation mode.
Yes,
Hello?
we can. We can see you, we can hear you, and we can see your presentation.
That is great. Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Emmanuel. Thank you very much, all moderators and participants. It was great connecting with you. Uganda is the pearl of Africa, so true. And Uganda is very special to my heart. So today I'm really excited to connect with you through a Zoom call. Actually, my last business trip right before the COVID-19 hit was to Kampala, and I had also the pleasure to be the guest of Jean-Philippe in Sheraton, such an amazing place. Uganda is also special to my heart because my only son was born when I was in a business trip to Kampala. Very good memories and very good memories about Uganda and all the people there. Thank you so much. I really would like to start my session by an article that has been published by the World Economic Forum. And the question that was addressed was about how Africa can feed the world. You know, with all the big potential that we have in terms of agriculture, in terms of natural resources that we have in Africa, we are not really questioning the capability because we all believe that Africa can feed the world. And the question is, what challenges out there and what opportunities out there for Africans so that they can get the most out of the opportunities out there and face the different challenges. Of course, to be able to bring value to the African people and also to be able to feed the world. So my session today is more linked to the COVID-19. I will more talk about the digital technology, so mainly I will cover some of the business cases here, but it's really important to see how COVID-19 is really shaping. Of course, we are talking about the old normal and now the new normal, and the big question is what would be the next normal? And there's a lot of research that is going on, whether from academia or practice, that is covering that specific question. The agenda I'm going to cover, first we will see some of the COVID-19 and impact on the agribusiness, and then we will see a first business case that Oracle is working with a global organization to enable the to solve some of the agribusiness challenges. And then we will see a second business case that is the Agroscot, which is a startup that is producing some of the solutions to solve some of the world hunger based on artificial intelligence. So this is mainly the agenda for today. So to start with, of course, we have all been, impacted somehow by the COVID-19, and of course, agriculture and the agribusiness is not an exception. If we look at the triple effect of the COVID-19 pandemic, the desert locust invasion and the floods that happened in many countries in the region, and nutrition security and rural livelihoods in Eastern Africa. This with the, with some of the preliminary analysis of the impact of the pandemic in the sub-region reveal disruptions to access to agricultural inputs. And this includes, of course, labor. It includes extension and advisory services or consulting services related to agriculture and agribusiness in general, and also is impacting deeply the output markets for many farmers, fisher folk, and pastoralists. Especially, there is also labor availability challenge, mainly in the land, the locked land countries like Uganda, like South Sudan, and also touching other countries like Burundi and Djibouti and Eritrea. Of course, with the stay-at-home policy, so access to labor was quite a big challenge. The extension, and this, of course, indirectly affected also the access to the advisory services, and also the access to the grazing and watering points. If we look at the mainly Uganda and also the surrounding countries, there is lots of watering points and grazing areas that are, we see lots of farmers are using. So of course, like being restricted to move freely throughout these points, it affected deeply the farm, the agribusiness at the farm level. The second was the impact on the value chain. And of course, this, mainly was impacted by the interruptions in the logistics. So if we see, of course, the spread of the COVID is fostered by the movement of people, and mainly in the region is the movement of trucks and drivers of those trucks. In order to be in control of the situation of the COVID, of course, there has been lots of restrictions. Trucks and drivers who was forbidden to move, and this created, of course, interruptions related to the value chain and the shortage of food truck and drivers to deliver the produces, products, and also all the required inputs, the seeds, fertilizers, veterinary services, and all of those. There was also interruptions in processing, that is, like meat and dairy, and of course, this impacted mainly the poor side of the population, because these products were still available in supermarkets, maybe at a higher price, but of course, if we look at the majority, these produces was not available for everyone, and of course, this make it a little bit worse when it comes to covering all population of these products, which are quite important. And then, of course, the closure of many informal markets, and we all see and we all know that the informal markets are key, elements in the value chain when it comes to agriculture in Uganda and also in the region. So having all of these informal markets closing, of course, it affected deeply the value chain. The labor shortages here, because as I said, stay-at-home policy impacted deeply availability of labor. And then the impact at the household level. the first, of course, is the job losses, and we have seen with Jean-Philippe, so this affected, for example, hotel personnel and all businesses. It's not just that, and also the agribusiness was deeply impacted. Many people have lost their job, and of course, this widened the poverty gap in society. With the limited access also to fresh nutritious food, of course, with all the impact that this could have on the public health safety of citizens. And of course, the suspension of school feeding programs, which normally used to feed millions of Eastern African children. So all of these children was affected with that. We have seen a reduction from 3 meals to 1 meal for lots of schools in Uganda and in the region, and of course with all the impact that this could have on children in the region. Those are somehow some of the impact that COVID-19 brought to this business. Now I'm going to cover some of the business cases to showcase how technology and why technology is important here, and how technology can really impact, with the variety of technologies that we can talk about. I mean, what we have seen is that technology can really make things more efficient and can really bring value to what we can call a data-driven policymaking related to agriculture and the agribusiness. So the first case is a case that has been, in a partnership between Oracle and one of the global organizations, which is the World Bee Project. The aim of that was to listen to bees, to save them and to save us. We will see in more details the case. So just to give some background, in the past 50 years, so there has been a 300% increase in the volume of agricultural production that depends on pollination. And of course, this also is correlated with the increase of the world population. And amazingly, 54% decrease in number of honeybees between 1985 and 205. This happened mainly in UK. And from another side, 59% decrease in bees colonies between 1947 and 2008. That is fell from around 6 million to around 2.5 million bees colonies globally. So if we look at this paradox, so from one side, we are witnessing and we still need a big increase in the volume of agriculture that depends on pollination. And here we are talking about natural pollination by bees. And from the other side, we see a decrease when it comes to bees and bees colonies. And this is a big contradiction, and it really puts the whole food security, the global food security at jeopardize. Now, why are bees so important for agriculture? First of all, if we look at just the amount of jobs that are created based on bees business. So currently we are at 1.4 billion farming jobs. Okay, and of course the impact on bees will impact this huge amount of jobs that are created. And if we look at the world food supply, so 75% of the world food supply that is worth $577 billion a year, that is related to bees and honey production business. And in all of those, 90% of the crops that feeds, 70% of the crops that feed 90% of the world population are, pollinated by bees, and that is like natural pollination. So from these numbers, we can see and we can witness why bees are so important for the agriculture and why bees are so important for us, for the globe. So the BBC has, published a paper talking about this partnership between Oracle and the World Project Bees, where the scientists, based on artificial intelligence and machine learning, they are targeting to save the world bees. But why bees are in trouble? Why we have issues with them? Of course, there is an overuse of the insecticides. We all know how the pollution, especially the air pollution, is harming all the natural resources, including bees and colonies. The global warming, we all know how the global warming is affecting all the natural resources, including bees. And what is called the varroa destructor mite, which is, I put it in this picture, if you see in the screen, which is this small insect that attacks the bees and it kills them. And of course, there is, last but not least, is the interference from the electromagnetic radiation, mainly the 5G. So we all know that the 5G is coming soon. And with all the radiation related to the telecom, communication, it's also affecting deeply the bees. There's also a very important fact that is, when the bees swarm, the existing hive can lose half of its population, and of course, the half it goes to build another, another colony. But half of course, it loses half of its honey, and half of those bees, they, when they are about to leave, they gorge themselves and they die. And of course, we can see the impact that also this can have on bees. Now, the solution that Oracle with the World Project Bees came up with is what we call the Smart Hives. Those are hives, beehives, that are equipped with sensors, so mainly 6 sensors that are mounted on hives and capturing the sound of the bees that are buzzing, and with the movement of their feet and wings. Of course, also the weight of the honey that is produced, the hive's humidity, and also all the the environmental factor like temperature and all of these effects that are surrounding the hive. And the solution is really to process all of this data in real time and bring good insights to all those scientists and to see how the bees are behaving in regards to these conditions. And of course, if we have a deep understanding of all of these conditions and how it affects the bees' lives and the bees' production and honey production, of course, it will bring us insight on how we can save them. In the following, we'll see a video. Just one second, I need to share my sound. Yeah. So in the next slide, we will see a video. So I'll just pause for a second.
The World Bee Project uses Oracle Cloud to help bees survive and thrive. We face a global crisis. Pollinator populations are declining, threatening global food supply and biodiversity. We need to know how habitat loss, single crop farming, and pesticides affect them. So we study bee behavior through acoustic technology. We generate masses of important data. Using AI, data visualizations, and analytics, we spot patterns, trends, and correlations.
Sorry, something went wrong.
The World Bee Project uses Oracle Cloud to help bees survive and thrive. We face a global crisis. Pollinator populations are declining, threatening global food supply and biodiversity. We need to know how habitat loss, single crop farming, and pesticides affect them. So we study bee behavior through acoustic technology. We generate masses of important data. Using AI, data visualizations, and analytics, we spot patterns, trends, and correlations. So we share insights and collaborate with scientists, governments, NGOs, and farmers from Kent to Canberra to Kyoto. Bees are vital to our future. With Oracle Cloud, we have a chance to protect pollinators, people, and the planet.
And the second case I am going to talk about is Agroscot, which is a startup that is developing an artificial intelligence-based autonomous system that protects crops everywhere. So we'll see how Agroscot, it uses machine learning algorithms that are, of course, based on Oracle Cloud to analyze drones that are capturing images of farm fields by knowing which pests and diseases to treat. Growers can save money and improve yield and feed more people globally. So we'll see this case. The challenge that are mainly faced by farmers is the loss of their crops. The FAO has published that farmers are losing about 40% of their crops to pests and diseases. And we can imagine the impact this could have on the global population. And of course, no one can, especially in with all the disruption that we have mentioned, the COVID-19 and all of these difficult, environmental factors in the region, we just cannot afford such a loss. 40% is a huge amount. Is about half of the production of crops are lost. So what the Agroscot has done, so they have equipped drones. So we have drones that are flying over the farm field. They capture images of crops, and everything is processed based on machine learning algorithms to analyze and collect image data in real time. And this will allow farmers to know exactly when and where they need to spray. So you can imagine the impact, of course, on cost. The precision it will allow, to be at the highest level of efficiency. And here we are really working with drones. So in terms of speed of treatment, it's almost on real time. So you can imagine all those drones, based on all of these real-time processing of data, they are capable of analyzing all of these, processing all of these images and all of these data, and based on artificial intelligence and machine learning, doing all the required treatment. So the same here, we are going to watch another video.
Agroscot is about early detection of disease and pests in field crops, which is a major problem for growers around the world. The three major crops that we grow in the world are wheat, corn, and rice. And they're all at the limit. Now we need to grow more and more. The only way that we can do that is reducing the loss. We use small robot drones to fly around the field autonomously, and all those images just go up into the Oracle Cloud. We do the magic. Is using artificial intelligence. It's actually looking at those images like a person would, bringing that technology to every farmer so they can put out those chemicals on time. We looked at all the major providers, including the big one that we were using before. But Oracle has helped us with major technical issues with cloud-native containers and DevOps to go from a static application to a dynamic microservice-based app that allows us to onboard customers globally daily. Before, it took us more than 24 hours to deploy every new version, and now it just takes minutes. The performance on the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure has been several times in magnitude than what we had before. The users before had a challenge to even work with our software. Now we can just query thousands of images in a few seconds. Oracle Cloud is a simple, low-cost process, and it allows us to bring growers the best practice in agronomy, helping them defeat disease and pest, helping them grow more and provide food security for the world, today and tomorrow.
So this is really a very good story about Agroscot. So Agroscot is a new startup. It started in 2017, and within a couple of years, the company was able to deliver the highest level of innovation in regards to agribusiness. So here, just I summarize some of the key takeaways today. We all know that the agribusiness, of course, is struggling to face the COVID-19 and also the environmental changes. Technology and data are key to solving many of these challenges. Of course, as Oracle, we welcome to discuss in more details. And in my daily job is we connect with our partners to identify what could be the best business cases of innovation, of course, in regards to the agribusiness or any other sectors. Cloud technology is really something to consider, and we highly recommend that we take it, as an equalizer and as an enabler. The cloud now making technology affordable for everyone, and at a high competitive cost, at a very cost advantage. Of course, as Oracle, we support startups, we support organizations, we support our partners in sharing also the knowledge, enabling people, enabling population, enabling citizens to bring more value, especially when it comes to agriculture and agribusiness, because we all know that this is something that is very important and critical for all human beings. Thank you very much for having me, and over to you, Emmanuel.
Thank you, Munir. Thank you. I don't know if we have any questions that have come in while you're speaking, but Munir, I need to ask you, you've got a very exciting technology, and you've been here, you've been to Uganda. Do we have the infrastructure to utilize what you guys have developed? And incidentally, our next speaker is head of agribusiness at Stanbic Bank, so she's very keen to know how can we bring that technology for our farmers. I don't know if you saw a BBC story recently, a few days ago. Kenya is under locust attack, so seeing all those things and just wondering, what can we do?
Yeah, exactly. It's really good to have Stanbic among us, because Stanbic is also one of our valuable customers, and we are connected with them actually for many of the business cases. Not mainly for the agribusiness, but we will be more than happy to discuss solutions for the agribusiness. I had the chance to live in Uganda for a couple of years, and I had the chance to roam around. I've been to Jinja, I've done the rafting there, eating some of the fresh tilapia fish in the source of the Nile River, being in Entebbe. It's just an amazing country, and you are so right when you call it like the pearl of Africa. There's lots of resources out there, lots of resources. There is, when I discuss with Ugandan youth, currently we are in discussion with some of the innovation hubs in Uganda. And we are really keen as Oracle to come and enable people. We believe that we have all the potential, all the resources to be able to innovate in the agribusiness space. We are committed to help and support. We are committed to enable. We have lots of programs. We have partnerships programs. We have startups programs. And we are very keen to deliver value to citizens through all of these programs. Of course, one of the things that we do is workshops with our customers, and we really work on a case-by-case basis. We believe that maybe the infrastructure or the environment in Uganda is going to be very different than an environment in another country. So we take this into consideration. We bring, of course, our knowledge, we bring our experience, we bring what we have done successfully elsewhere, and we customized for our partners, for our local partners. And of course, this is something that is really important, because maybe something that was very successful in another country, if you bring it as is to Uganda or any other country, is not going to work. So we bring ideas, we bring business cases, we bring technology. Now with Oracle Cloud Technology, we make it very affordable to our partners and our customers. And of course, we identify with them the best business cases. So the examples that I showed to you, it's just 2 examples, but we have a variety, I mean, hundreds, maybe thousands of successful business cases. So those are customers with whom we have done hand-holding from the very start. From the idea generation until the delivery of the full solution and having the big positive impact on citizens and society. So this is our commitment. Yeah.
Thank you, Manu. Apparently, we've got a question for you from I think online, it isn't from the house. Nelly is going to ask the question for you before we let you go. Nelly.
Yes, someone asked a question. They want to know how can they access the Oracle Cloud? That was the first person, and then the other one was asking, where should SMEs invest their money and resources in the digitalization of their enterprises? That was for you, Munir.
Sorry, the second question, can you say again?
Where should SMEs invest their money and resources in the digitalization of their enterprises?
Yeah, sure. So the first question is about how to access Oracle Cloud. I see that our sales program manager, she left her contacts in the chat, so you can just connect with her, and we will be more than happy to handhold. We can have like a short call, and we can really handhold from the start to show you exactly. It's very easy. It's for free, so everyone can access it. You can get a free credit, and of course there is access to some technology that is free forever, like a database, etc., that allows people really to touch the cloud and see the value of it. So this one, it comes to how to access cloud. Of course, you can just go to cloud.oracle.com and you will have more insight. We have also one website for startups, so you can just put online Oracle Startup Program. It will bring all the values. There is lots of free technology out there for startups. We enable them, we support them, we give them a global exposure. Like for example, Agroscot is one of our startups, okay, and we are giving them, advertising globally and hand-holding globally, even not just from a technology enablement, but also from a business perspective.
We have a question as well.
Just the second question. From where to start? I highly recommend to start with an assessment, an as-is assessment. As Oracle, we do that for free with our customers. So the same, you can just connect with our sales program manager. I will be more than happy myself to come with an expert team, and we will do an assessment of from where you can start. Of course, as an advice or some of the trends that we see, always we need to start from data. We believe that we have a huge amount of data. You know, if we look at the data space globally, we have about 8 zettabytes of data globally. That is a huge amount of data. You know, if you do a simulation, it's about storing all human speeches from the appearance of human being in one storage. So that is how big data. And do you know how much data do we use today? It's less than 1% of data, which means there is a huge opportunity out there to take care of data and to get insight out of that data. So if there is one advice that I see as a trend, is really to start from your data. And of course, this we can take it organization by organization, and we'll be more than happy to connect in a workshop and do all the hand-holding from the very start until delivering the value for that.
Thank you. I'm taking a question from Rock Telecom. Do we have a mobile mic? Where is the... Yeah, come and use this. But if we could have the mic come up so that... Any question from the phone?
Thank you, Mr. Munir. I was going to point out that Rock Telecom actually has similar platforms. We have a platform in the dairy subsector called the Connected Farmer Solution, where we collect data and, over time and provide financial credit and the rest of that. So we work with Vodacom and Mezzanine, the South African. So if we could collaborate along the way, that would be beautiful, because we're doing something similar here right now. So thank you.
Yeah, this is great.
Valuable
This is great and very insightful. Yeah. Yeah, please just connect with Mercy. So she left her contact, and we'll be more than happy to connect and partner. I see many questions in the chat as well.
Do we have any more questions? Because I don't have access. Somebody's... No, okay. Monir, thank you. Thank you very much for your presentation. Could the audience in Kampala give Monir a round of applause for...
Thank you so much. For the other questions, I will answer them on the chat.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so
very much. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to invite Melissa, the head of agribusiness at Stanbic Bank, to speak to us.
Good afternoon, everybody. Our guests are present here, fellow speakers, and those online. Thank you for being with us for this summit. I'd like to really thank Human Capital for putting this together. There's quite a lot of learning for us as well. So I'll just get into it from my space. So next. So I just thought we would probably bring it home in terms of what's affecting us in the agriculture space as well as the SMEs. We know why this is important to us, these two sectors, but I just wanted us to draw into two main things. And really it's to say there are 160,000 SMEs in this country, 90% contribution to the entire private sector, contribution of that in terms of the private sector comes from the SME. Over 2.5 million people are employed in the SME sector, and 80% of Uganda's manufactured output is from the SME sector, but we only contribute 20% to the gross domestic product, GDP. That's for the SME sector. The agriculture sector is even worse. We employ 65% of our population in agriculture. We earn $1.1 billion from exports in agriculture, and only contribute 23% to Uganda's GDP. And that, for me, is a disconnect. It surely means that there is much more we can earn from these two sectors. There's an intersection, definitely, because there are agro processors that are seated within the SME space. But it's a very key thing for us to really stop and ponder and think about, because there must be so much more that we can do to contribute to GDP than we are for these two sectors. Next. There are challenges in both the SME and the agriculture sector. And the first and foremost one, yes, I'm in banking, but I will say it, is limited access to funding for both of them. Now, the reason for that in the SME space is because of the way the businesses are run. You must, there's no business plans or financial resources. There's a poor banking and borrowing history, low corporate governance, and as such, the bulk of our SMEs don't see their first year, the first birthday. They don't get there because of all these challenges. In the agriculture space, there's still limited access to financing. And the reason for that is really because of the nature in which we run these businesses. They are subsistence farmers. Over 65% of our farmers practice the subsistence way of running their business day to day. we'd like to call it businesses when we are talking to these farmers. We want them to start to think of this as business, not as something that is just, to sort of get them to start thinking better, how best can they run their agriculture. They are price takers. Even when they try to use better methods, they will probably access adulterated inputs. They lack the knowledge of best practice. They have no access to secure storage, so they are forced to sell. They'll probably, in most cases, sell their produce while it's still in the garden. And they have tried to organize themselves to fill the gap through cooperatives and circles. But unfortunately, for those two spaces, they have their own structural issues, governance, best practice. So the circles, in a way, also have some gaps in that space. And then there's a big issue around land ownership. Next. So how digital tech can enable agribusiness and SMEs in Uganda? That's what I'll be really looking at. So I just thought I would go through that by taking us through, just a brief understanding. When we talk about digitization, what do we mean? Digitization, digitalization, it's all that. And really what it is to just to convert something into data format. And when we talk about data format, it's just, you get something as small as how much maize I have produced and get it into a digital format. Now, when you talk about digital format, I think in my mind there are three key pillars that we would look at. And the first one is connectivity. Connectivity could be your laptop, could be your iPad. But I want us to focus on the phones, because that in itself is the power in which we can use to get to the next level within the SME space and the farmer space. There are 27 million mobile subscribers in this country, much more than bank accounts. We don't even have half the bank accounts in that space, but their mobile is out there. 27 million people subscribe or have a mobile phone, and that in itself is 63% penetration rate. The second pillar that I think was also talked about by Mono is the data. Really, it's that information that you then convert into the digital format, that data. Data is very important. It's created every day. There are over 50% of the web queries over the internet are searched using smartphones. Hence the reason as to why I want us to really focus on the smartphones or phones. They don't have to be smartphones, they could be feature phones, but there's still something that we can use those for. And then the third thing is the literacy. You need higher rates of literacy to get into this space. It's not to say that it's a smooth ride. There are some challenges in that space, in the digitization space, and the fact that we have poor mobile networks, the agent infrastructure isn't there. Agent infrastructure, I mean the mobile agents as well as the banking agents. And then the costs involved with these channels is also up there. And then the biggest other issue is the data quality. If that quality is terrible, then you make decisions using wrong data and you will go nowhere. So those are the key things we need to look at. There are benefits to digitization. I'll just speak to a few. And in the financing space, it is through, so when we talk about data, I can use a scoring engine to actually decide how much I can lend someone to. Our way of banking has been that you walk into the bank, and from that point onwards until your funds come through to your bank account, they will go through an individual person. And that is too hectic or it's not possible when we talk about the smallholder farmer. These are, farmers are more than 5-6 million in this country. It's not possible to do that. It would just be too expensive and defeat the purpose of being able to lend to them. But if we have that data on the farmer, and say, I know how much acreage Melissa owns, how much has she produced, if she's maybe producing maize, and what is her output over the last 3 years. When she sells it, how much does she earn? I can use that to pre-score Melissa and give her funding based on that. So that's the importance of data, of digitization. In the financing space, you can also access insurance products, and it has allowed us to go branchless, allow branchless banking. When I talked about the agents out there, there are so few brick and mortar branches or bank branches, but out there, we can access everybody literally to the last mile if we are using our agents, the banking agent model. And that's only possible because of data. And please note that every time you visit them, they are not using computers or laptops or iPads. They are using the mobile phone. And that's the importance of digitization. The next one is, I think we've heard about it, the access to new markets. That is where we saw this come up a lot during COVID. The digital marketing, people were able to sell things via Facebook, WhatsApp. That's the importance of this space as well. But when I talk to agriculture, it allows me to have trading platforms to give people access to, you can sell. Imagine a situation where you can get onto a platform and sell your maize in Kasese to someone in Gulu, or even across the border. It's possible with digitization. The other space that we need to explore, we are still getting there, good enough, our government has gotten into the warehousing space, is the digital warehouse receipts, where you have your commodity, your maize, you put it in the warehouse, and use that receipt to actually access funding, even before you sell it, because maybe, who knows, the price at that point in time is not favorable. But you're hoping in a month or two when the season is off, you can access better rates. So I'll leave that there. We have advantages with digitization in terms of cost efficiency. You can monitor your storage conditions, digital cost tracking, how much for me to, in the agro-processing scenario, if I'm to produce 1 unit, how much does it cost me to actually produce that 1 unit? What's happening in this country is we just have a broad assumption of some of these things, and at the end of 6 months, so much money has been coming in, but all that money is getting out, and you're actually not making any profit. But you simply cannot pinpoint where that problem is. But with the digital space and collecting all that data and analyzing it quite well, you can go back and tie those notes wherever and make it work for you. In the planning space, it's also, you can use digitization for planning. When I talk, I know I'm using farming quite a lot. Please note I'm in the agribusiness space. But it really should cut across for the SMEs as well. When we talk about planning, you know when to stock. Your season is coming up. You look at your historical data and know when do you sell the most, when do you sell the least. What days are the best for you? What days are the, what hours? If the hours, what are the peak hours? How many more people do you need to work in those peak hours? So it's a whole world out there that we can use. And specifically in agriculture is also the climate change. You can use that to, this one is actually working in some places where you just, even if you have just a feature phone, you're able to receive messages telling you what the weather will look like in the next 2 weeks or 1 month. So when do you need to plant? When do you need to do whatever you need to do? It is that important. It is that we can't afford to not embrace digitization because it will take us places. Next. So I just thought I would take us through briefly a case study within the bank. And it's really around how we are trying to use digital products to address the plight of the smallholder farmer. And it's an illustration of our One Farm platform. This is taking place in Kasese, but we're looking to move that into other districts. We've been working with maize, but are looking at adding on other products, such as coffee, barley, and see where this takes us. So it is essentially a platform as you see it. On the left is the smallholder ecosystem. On the right is the enterprise service system. So essentially the smallholder ecosystem, this is the smallholders farmers ecosystem. You have the farmer there, you have the input traders, the tractor drivers, the cooperatives and circles that really serve these people, agronomists or extension workers, and the aggregators. Aggregators are what we commonly know as the traders. And then on the right side is the enterprise service providers, such as financial institutions, insurance providers, the big manufacturers, exporters, input producers, and our very important partners who are the technology partners, the agri-techs, the fintechs. They sit in this space. They're rock telecoms of this world. Sorry, but you do share when you do come up. But yes, the rock telecoms of this world that sit in that space. So we will partner with the likes of these channel partners to sort of collect that data on the farmer, as I'd given an example of the acreage production, and use that, feed that into a credit scoring engine, that's digital, to be able to lend to the farmer. So the services at the top are what we offer. That's to lend, protect, trade, and grow. So to lend, we will lend through the circles or cooperatives because they have that information through partnering with these agri-techs to collect that data on these farmers, and then we use that to sort of lend to them. We don't give the farmers cash. It's not a very good idea. But what we do is give them the inputs. We lend to them in form of inputs. And then in the space of protect is the insurance. We will put insurance packages for them. And really it's to say that we may close out all the loops, but our farming is still based on, what God has willed. The weather today, tomorrow, it is the locusts. So there is an insurance package put into that space because we don't want that farmer to walk away at the end of the 3-4 months empty-handed. And insurance covers that. And then on the trade aspect, it's to ensure that we get this farmer and connect them to the big aggregators, exporters, and sort of create that market linkage for them, while also exploring the warehouse receipting and storage solutions as I had earlier mentioned. Grow, we have an agronomist on ground, and the reason as to why we had to do that is because our farmers have been using the subsistence way of farming. They do not know when and how to apply the fertilizers, and the importance anyway. And so for us to get this to work, we had to get an agronomist on ground. But if we are to scale, we know we can't employ, 1,000 agronomists or so. So what are we doing? We are trying to do it the digital way, where the agronomist takes videos showing how this works. And then the agents, who are usually in these small villages or towns, work together are connected to the cooperatives or circles. And those agents have smartphones and will have been also taught or trained on what to do. So they go around helping these farmers adopt the right ways of practicing agriculture. And then all this is really based on the data. It's a whole digital world out there, and that's what we are trying to do in this space. Next. So this is my last slide. And I just thought I'd share some key successes from this space. It's not to say that there have not been challenges. Please, there have been challenges. But we took it as a learning process to sort of refine it for every season we get into. And based off that, we have gotten better as we go along from season to season. We are now getting into our 4th season, and definitely we'll be looking to take on more farmers. The target is to get to 10,000 farmers this season. So previously, we've helped over 400 farmers. Those are the ones who have been involved. Three-quarters of those are repeat farmers. There are new ones who come on, but they're repeat farmers. We did it through 5 farmer groups and are using the active model agent, the local agent, as I talked about. In terms of funding, we've lent out over 250 million to the farmers. The loans are in form of seed, fertilizer, and mechanization. 3, the productivity increased to over 8,800 kilograms of quality maize have been produced from this. I'll just speak briefly to this because I did meet a farmer who had gone through these 2 seasons with us. So initially he used to do about 1,200 kilograms per acre for each season. Was doing it the rudimentary way. So the first season we onboarded him, didn't want to take too much of a risk. Decided to take on what we were telling him to do with the agronomist, a portion, borrowed a bit, not too much. And for that season, he managed to get 1,800 kilograms. The 3rd season, he said, I'm going to go full and do everything as I've been told with the agronomist, no cutting corners. If you said it is how many kilograms per of fertilizer applied per acre, I will do that. This farmer reaped 3,000 kilograms from that acre that season. As we speak now, he had 6 acres. He's looking to rent more, to double, to get to 12 acres, because he has seen the importance of adopting the new ways of farming as opposed to the old ways, but the only way we can do it is the digital way. And then the other one is, we've talked about, is agronomy, focused extension services. Over 1,130 bags of fertilizer have been distributed to these farmers. The mechanization side, we have been able to get them to use the tractors on their onset, and that is 1,500 acres have been plowed. And last but not least, we did, through some of our partners, avail the farmer groups with 5 maize shellers. That's it from us. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Melissa. We are going to go to our next speaker before we have any further questions and answers, because she's online, and as I said, we always risk. I wish Rock Telecom was where she is. We would have been comfortable and been assured that there will be no disconnectivity. But I must welcome Jamila Abdel Veta. She's a senior advisor to the Secretary General of the African Continental Free Trade Area. You might have seen in your programs, we had Silva Ojakwol, who was going to speak to us. He was reassigned, and Jamila has stepped in. She comes from an early career in the banking sector and has worked in her government's trade ministry in Mauritania. And so, Jamila, I hope you're on, and if you could speak to us, the audience in the Kampala Sheraton is looking forward to hearing from you. Jamila.
Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you can hear me well.
Yes, we can. Good afternoon.
Perfect. Good afternoon. And let me first apologize on behalf of our Chief of Staff, the former Trade Commissioner of Uganda, Silva Ojakwol. He would have loved to speak to you, but unfortunately, our agenda is a little bit overwhelming, to say the least. And unfortunately, you get me. So as you said, I actually was a trade negotiator with him and the Secretary General, where all the bureau is the family that negotiated the agreement through our countries, our respective countries. And it is an honor for us to now start working on the implementation phase of this historic agreement. And if you actually may allow me, do you still see me and hear me?
Yes, we can. We can see you, can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. So it's a great opportunity to be addressing this summit. Human Capital International is doing a great job of connecting people, and I think that's one of the key issue on the continent. I encourage you to of course continue this endeavor of helping specifically, of course, the agriculture sector, which is one. I heard earlier, I don't remember, someone said something about the value chain being disrupted. The value chain has never been fair at all for Africa, and it's not something new with COVID. And that is something that we are trying to tackle through the AFCFTA, which is, in our point of view, the most comprehensive regulatory framework that has ever been negotiated by Africans for Africans in the African Union House. So it is really something that we hope every citizen on the continent, the 1-2 billion people, will make it their own and understand that every one of us is responsible of the implementation of it, because basically an agreement is putting a lock on a door. Now you're waiting for people to open that door, and I'm sure that specifically with the impact of COVID, people started realizing the fact that we cannot keep on hanging and waiting for a handout from abroad or food from abroad when our land is one of the most arable one on the planet. And yes, so it's either we're gonna wait for others to come and help, or we're gonna rebuild our continent for ourselves with a great agricultural and investment potential that can be fostered with a comprehensive framework offered by the AFCFTA. And let me just make that clarification, because people forget that the AFCFTA is, yes, a free trade agreement regarding goods and services, but also focusing on the investment flows, because, well, without it, nothing can happen and nothing can move. And in the preamble of the agreement itself, the heads of state said that they are conscious of the need to create an expanded and secure market for the goods, services of the state party and investment to circulate through an adequate infrastructure and the reduction and progressive elimination of tariff barriers. Because, well, we all know how difficult it is, especially for cross-border traders, especially in agricultural sector, to how to say, to smoothly pass through the border and access the immediate market of the neighboring country. The agreement in the Article 6, and let me just state it, in the scope of the agreement, they decided that it shall cover trade in goods, trade in services, investment, intellectual property rights, and competition policy. And the protocol on investment in particular is important because it will likely include substantive investment protection and a separate set of rules for the resolution of investment disputes on the basis of the timetable set by the African Union for the phase 2 negotiations. We really hope that we will present that protocol in December 2021. And I think that the protocol will include a specific annex to secure and expand the access to finance for the agricultural sector, which is one of the most important one for the Secretariat in the AFCFTA. And yes, let me again say that the AFCFTA and the start of the trade since 1st of January, therefore present a unique opportunity for Africa to reboot our economies, enhance productive capacities, and boost our intra-Africa trade and speed up structural transformation as one of the major drivers of economic recovery and development. The future for sustainable growth and development of Africa depends on increasing the levels of intra-African trade and investment within the African continent. For too long, however, Africa has looked outward for support for its economic development. When Africa trades more outside the continent than within and rely more on foreign investment than investment cross-border in the continent. So yes, already some forward-looking African countries have started looking inward for solutions to their development problems, as they realize that the greatest development in Africa have come from investment and commitment by leading African businesses who believe in the continent despite the challenges. And let me thank EcoBank that actually came 2 days ago to give us an introduction at the Secretariat about this Elevate program that is specifically focused on women and trying to help eliminate the gender bias that exists in the access to finance and the access to new market. So ultimately, the development of this continent is up to us. But for this to happen, a psychological shift from the current mindset of dependency to one of getting things done is required. Thank you very much.
Jamila, thank you very much for what was evidently a very passionate submission on behalf of the Africa Free Trade Area. I know that you're going for another meeting, I think speaking to women as well. So you'll be happy to know EcoBank is one of the sponsors here. And they did tell us that in 33 of the 54 African countries. So when you settle down in the new headquarters, please make sure that EcoBank goes to 54 out of 54. Thank you very much, and our best wishes to the Secretariat. We're looking forward to start seeing the fruits of this initiative that will help Africa do business with Africa. Much appreciated. Thank you. Can I now ask Shanina to introduce, before we begin our last hour with our last three speakers, if you could introduce two other sponsors that we have who've made this possible, and then we start our last hour with three speakers. I didn't take a lot of Jamila's time on the Africa free trade area, because we're lucky to have in the room with us Dr. Okaka, who was involved in this whole thing. So we're going to get a lot of local information in this meeting.
Hello, everyone. I'm here once again to introduce the next set of our special guests. They're also our sponsors. This bunch is new to sponsoring or partnering with us for the Strategic Leaders Summit. Allow me to introduce this guest. He has the vast experience coupled with his diligent and thorough business management practices, which have allowed him to develop existing businesses and to rapidly expand into new opportunities. He provides valuable experience across commercial and operational disciplines, having held various positions in leading international businesses in the US and in Uganda. Ladies and gentlemen, Alexandra Bazirake from Rock Telecom. Another special guest, just a little bit. Another special guest is an executive director and head of corporate and investment banking with 20 years of banking experience across global markets, business, banking coverage, microfinance, and now corporate and investment banking. She has worked both in Uganda and Kenyan markets. Emma Mugisha is an executive director of Stanbic Bank and is our other special guest. Please allow me to invite them over to speak. Alexandra, please.
Otimbi na timbelio. Wasafi.
and while going about our daily errands. However, an internet is not only important, but is part of us now. We use it in our studies, at work, home, and while going about our daily errands. However, an inconsistent internet connection is common and can be frustrating. But the good news is, we are here to the rescue. At Rock Telecom, we strive to promote integrity, dependability, innovation, customer service, and open-mindedness. Visit our website www.rocktelecom.co.ug for more information. Rock Telecom. Rock Telecom is licensed by the Uganda Communications Commission.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's extremely exciting to be in the digital sphere. As Madam Melissa from Stanbig mentioned, actually, most of what she's highlighted is in our presentation, our Rock Telecom presentation. And Mr. Munir with the Oracle pretty much covered our analysis on data. Someone's laughing back there. Yes, really, honestly. So this is extremely, we thought we were doing this on our own, working with the Kenyans and the South Africans. And we're all on our own, but look here, now we finally meet, and I hope we can take these places. Okay, so my names are Alexandra Bazirake with Rock Telecom, and I'm going to present the Rock Telecom submission. Oh, I can't read. Okay, Rock Telecom has been in existence since 2006. We are licensed by the UCC, as the commercial mentioned. And we started off in the voice business, but we expanded on to, to the carrier business, supplying IP transit and data, which is the links to the offices, the dedicated internet links, and so on and so forth. We have packages that are extremely popular, the home packages, the classic, Rock Classic Plus, the Unlimited Plus, which essentially have free nights and free weekends, and over the public holidays, they're also free. These are extremely popular, and I would urge everybody to sign up. Okay? And we have the FTTH, which is the fiber to the home, the Rockspot, which is the public Wi-Fi, and of course, the digital platforms, the IoT platforms. IoT stands for Internet of Things. This is what Mr. Munir from Oracle was talking about, and this is precisely what Madam Melissa with Stanbig was talking about. On our side, we have the connected farmer solution, which I will elaborate more on in a minute. We have the stock visibility solution. This is in the health sector, moving drugs, moving pharmaceuticals. Now that we have COVID vaccines coming in, how we move them around, how we track them in real time, how will we establish what clinics they've gone to, what pharmacies they've been delivered to, that kind of thing. We have the E-Vouchering Platform, which is more or less a mobile money platform, again, sort of similar to what Madam Melissa mentioned. And it has something called, it's an alphanumeric code voucher that can be sent, it can be embedded with NFIs, delivery of NFIs. If anybody here is with the humanitarian sector, they will understand. NFIs are non-financial items. The mosquito nets, the basins, the what sending to Nachivale or up to Arua and so forth. Okay, connected cabinet in the beverage industry, how many times the door is opened, how many beverages are sold, how many, the analytics, an algorithm calculates. Very interesting, very sophisticated stuff, very contemporary, very similar to precisely what you were saying. And then we have the fleet management. The fleet management solution is essentially when you're moving cargo from Mombasa to Kampala, we embed devices, GPS devices in this cargo, so you would know where your cargo, where your cargo precisely is, and you'd know whether it's still in. For example, if you have a car in there or something, there would be devices inside, so you'd know, at what point, either it was tampered with or it wasn't tampered with. It gives you details on precisely what's going on in real time. Okay, I am going to focus, we've decided to focus on the connected farmer solution and decided to focus on the dairy subsector in Uganda. As you can see, that's a picture of a farmer, a dairy farmer in southwestern Uganda. And as you can see, he's milking a cow the African way. This has been going on for millennia. For as long as human beings have domesticated animals, this has been happening. So the question, the challenge is, how do we improve his life? How do we improve his livelihood? Because if they've been doing this for centuries, and we don't seem to find the solution, what if we applied our digital platforms to this? How would that work? Hence, the connected farmer solution. Okay, a brief background. I can't read. Smallholder farmers in Uganda face considerable challenges, as we are all aware, poverty and all that. So how do we take these solutions and use them to address some of these challenges? Okay, we use mobile telephony, again, as Melissa mentioned from Stanbic, Madam Melissa. Simple phones, kabiriti, even the smartphones are used to communicate. To what we do is that when we sign up a farmer, register a farmer, sign up a farmer, and then have either cooperative working in conjunction with that farmer or a milk processor in Mbara, for example, the farmer has the ability to get information on, for example, when he delivers his milk, he gets an SMS saying how much milk they've delivered and how much money either the cooperative or the factory owes him, right? Him or her. These farmers could be ladies too. So what happens if we collect this information over a year, over 2 years? You can clearly see that we'll have a wealth of data. Data that Mr. Munir was referring to. Data is everything. Data is the new gold. That's what Facebook is doing. That's what Google is doing. That's what Amazon is doing. Spending so much money and time collecting data. That's what we do. That's the sphere we're in, the data sphere. So we collect all this data. And then we can use that data to be able to forecast, to advance loans, credit score. She was mentioning a credit score. We can come up with a credit score so that we know if we advance loans to that farmer, what's his ability, his propensity to pay back those loans. If we advance agrovet services, we essentially create a business and a digital ecosystem around the farmer. He becomes an economic entity. He buys from us, because he buys the platform from us, pays $1 every month, but we in turn sell to him with the information we collect. Agricultural extension services, agrovet services, weather forecasting, she mentioned it too. Ability to sell information on weather forecasting, when to plant, when not to plant, that kind of thing. So this is what we can do. These are the platforms we have. That's why ROG should partner with Stanbic, should partner with Oracle, so that we really get going here. Like I mentioned, we thought we were alone doing all this, and suddenly, we're meeting friends. So here is an illustration of what I just mentioned, registering farmers and all that, and how the whole thing works. Okay, I've pretty much discussed this. And then, where is this happening? Our colleagues with Vodacom in Kenya and then with Mezzanine in South Africa have employed this, have put this to work in Kenya with Safaricom. Remember, they need the mobile money. Mobile money is how the farmer gets his payments and how the farmer gets his loans. The loans will be on the platform, mobile money, and then when he gets payments, they'll be on the same platform. Okay? So this has been very successful in Kenya. The Kenyans are doing an excellent job. And as I've mentioned, mobile money platform is extremely critical. And then, if I can see the last one, okay, again, business analytics, which I just described, collecting the data and determining whom to advance loans to and whom not to, the ability to forecast, again, as the Madam Banker here, pretty much the same thing. That's what we do too. All right, so what does this mean in essence? We are trying to find a way to solve the problem of poverty, of unemployment in a way within the agricultural sector. We can apply the same platforms to health, like I mentioned, drugs, to education. But if you're going to make a dent in Africa, as far as poverty is concerned, you have to tackle agriculture. So these platforms are extremely vital, are extremely key, and we think we can create resiliency and improve the lives of the dairy farmers, and eventually the coffee farmers, and the tea farmers, and on and on and on. We want up the value chain. We want our farmers to look like the Dutch farmers, the European farmers. That's what we want to see in a few years' time down the road. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Mine will be very short because today I'm escorting Melissa. My name is Emma Mcha, as Charlene has said. This is very exciting for us because SMEs agriculture is really a topic of change for us as a bank. I am a corporate investment banker, but I'm actually really excited about SMEs this year. And we have a number of initiatives towards this. Melissa just shared one of those. We shared the SACCO one before. We have an incubator. So this is really the space that we see our future in. So very excited about this summit, very excited to be part of this summit, and like our Rock Telecom brother has said, I think from tomorrow, let's have a meeting and let's put the African proverb says that if you want to go fast, you go alone. But if you want to go far, then you go together. So I think we should pick on that and we should be able to go together. So mine is really very short. Grateful to be part of this partnership and happy to have this audience. If you're not banking with us, please, this is the point to open an account. As you've heard, we've reduced our interest rates significantly, and this is the time to come and borrow. So thank you very much, and enjoy the last hour, which is going to be even sweeter, I'm sure. Cheers.
Thank you very much, Emma. Ladies and gentlemen, it's now my pleasure to invite Dr. Okaka, who is an Assistant Commissioner with the Uganda Revenue Authority. The doctor has been involved in this free trade area negotiations and discussions. So over to you. You can please.
This right here is home. It is where I belong. I know I won't wait long for my favorite song. I can tell by the way the sun's coming up from the cloud, and I hear the sound from the mouth of trumpets and laughter. Yes, tomorrow's gonna be a better day. Tomorrow's gonna be a better day. Tomorrow's gonna be a better day.
For us, improving lives is why we do what we do.
It's okay, we can start?
Yes, you can.
Oh, okay. My fellow the panelists and the dear participants to this summit, I want to take this opportunity to appreciate Human Capital International for inviting us especially inviting us as URA, and for me in particular as an individual, to be part of this engagement. The topic we are going to share will be focused on regional tax and tariff implication of the agribusinesses and SMEs within the African Continental Free Trade Area. Like I've already been introduced, I'm called Dr. Kaka Joffre, and I'll be taking you through this interaction. I'll give highlights because to provoke maybe the further discussions. I understand I've been given about 10 to 15 minutes, and I would say it's little time, so what I can do is to provoke our discussion. That's a brief outline. I'll start with reflecting on, I want us to reflect on a few quotes as one. The Kenya President, His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, passionately put it, there cannot be a good reason why it's easier for us to trade with Asia, Europe, and Americas rather than with fellow Africans. The second one, which I also want us to reflect on, the CFTA, now called the African Continental Free Trade Area, is critical not only for its potential benefits, but also to mitigate the costs associated with inaction. The implication of this that is whether as Africa not acting is not an option. And therefore, we must act, and we're in the right direction that we are now implementing the African Continental Free Trade Area. From our very own, the Uganda President, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, he remarked many, many years ago to the Pan-African Parliament that a business cannot substantially produce if somebody does not buy what business produces. Therefore, the market is the greatest stimulus for production. And right now, we have an opportunity that African Continental Free Trade Area is opening markets 1.2 billion people and a GDP of over $3 million USA dollars. That's $1 trillion, $3 USA trillion dollars. That's a great opportunity for us to trade. The African Continental Free Trade Area is a trade area founded in 2018, with trade commencing as of January this year, 2021. And this provides a platform for us, provides a platform where, what I'm saying, this agreement provides a platform where we maintain little or no barrier to trade in form of tariff or quotas between each other that the state parties, as the agreement specifies. Looking at the framework, in relation to the topic, I will focus basically on one of the protocols, and that is the protocol on trade in goods. This protocol, this framework, this protocol focuses on the progressive elimination of tariff according to the agreed modalities. The agribusiness or the SMEs plays an important role in the economies of Africa. Just looking at the number alone, that it employs 80%, looking at the employment portfolios that we have in Africa, up to 80% of Africa employment is taken over by SMEs or the agribusiness as a sector. And this contributes to up to 50% of its GDP. In reality, what it means is that when we are talking about 3 trillion as GDP, this sector alone, it means we are looking at 1.5 trillion. We need to focus. There is no way we can ignore this sector. My discussion will be centered around the regional tax and tariff implications, and I look at the aspect of tariff liberation modalities. I will also look at the aspect of the rules of origin, and then look at the continental, national, and regional initiative that supports agribusinesses and SMEs development. When we one of the aspects we are looking at is the tariff liberation modalities. It gives us 3 categories from the protocol. We have 3 tariff offers, and the category A, the 90%, category B, the 7% for the sensitive goods, category 3, the exclusion list. So the 90%, the implication of the 90% for non-sensitive goods, those are the tariff offers that can start, we started implementing immediately, and we expect that within 5 years for non-least developed countries, they should be trading at 0 rate, free duty. And for the LDCs, where we belong, this means that we would be accessing this market at duty-free in the next 10 years. So the differences on the sensitive goods will take a longer time. 10 years for LDCs, non-LDCs, and 13 years for LDCs. And likewise, the excluded one, what it means is that we shall open up after 5 years of the implementation of the agreement, which means from 2026, that's when we can again look at this, and possibly we graduate them to those other areas. The state parties have to negotiate these tariff offers. And these tariff offers are available. Like for us in ESC, when we are negotiating in this agreement, we went in as ESC, and therefore the existing tariff offers, the common external tariff as with a custom union is what we presented as our tariff offers at the African Continental Free Trade Area. The next is looking at what would support these tariff offers or tariff offers. What operates the liberation of the tariff The rules of origin is very, very important to operationalize the aspect of the aspect of the tariff offers within the framework. it's important to note that preferential trade liberation is the underlying principle of free trade area whereby member states or member countries scrap the import tariffs and quota among themselves, and more of this in order to have a competitive advantage within the free trade area. Then the third aspect is to look now at the national, continental, national, and regional initiative. It's important to note that as we are implementing this African Continental Free Trade Area, the national plans or the regional actions in support of the agribusiness and SMEs will be very important for this to realize its goal and objectives. For instance, looking at the government of Uganda under the NDP 3, National Development Plan 3, most economies looks at agribusiness as SMEs as very, very crucial for socio-economic transformation of our economies. And therefore, you'll find that there are tariff offers or the tax incentives within the framework of EAC, because especially looking at the agriculture sector as a key aspect in facilitating trade within these sectors. The other aspect that is also within the African Continental Free Trade Area, the initiative that is supported directly under African Continental Free Trade Area, is the Agriculture Development Program, CADAP, which is also supported by African Continental Free Trade Area. Now, I want to draw us to the regional perspective, the ESC, the tariff structure that we used to negotiate within the African Continental Free Trade Area, and the tax incentives thereof. Within the ESC structure, we have a triple band structure where raw material and capital goods are zero rated, the intermediate goods are at 10%, and the final goods are 25%. Then we have the exception, the sensitive list. So the implication that what we have in the sensitive list in ESC is what actually we offered at the African Continental Free Trade Area. Then we have the duty remission scheme, where there is waiver of duty for all refrainment from exacting of duty on gazetted inputs imported by gazetted users or the manufacturers. As ESC, when you look at the tariff liberation modalities, we said we are going to take a period of time. Starting this year, 25, and over 10 years in the case of Uganda. Therefore, it means right now we cannot benefit from the tax incentive or free duty within the African Continental Free Trade framework. And therefore, I want now to draw us that we can benefit already immediately from what we already, as a custom union within the ESC, where we are already operating a custom union, and looking at the regional integration, the regional economic communities within Africa. We have quite a number, and the EAC Custom Union is one of the advanced stage. Even when I talk about African Continental Free Trade Area, that's the dream. We want to be able to create a custom union, an African Custom Union in the near future. But as EAC, we're already in an advanced stage of a custom union, where it means we have a common external tariff, and therefore we can benefit. You'll find that within the EAC custom union, it affords to agriculture sector and agribusinesses quite a number of benefits. or exemptions. I'll just scan through a few. You'll look at them. Looking at the items within that, the hoes, the plows, all those are within the national laws. They are exempted from VAT, then exempted under the 5th schedule of the East African Customs Management Act. There are quite a number. I'll just scroll through. You look at some of them. The agricultural tractors, the veterinary chemicals, the cans for dairy industry, the insulated trucks, tankers, all these, the cold room, the poultry product, the stock, all these are exempted within EAC. And what means that this is also what we have presented within the African Continental Free Trade Area. That is also the offers, the tariff offers that we have presented, and we expect that we shall continue enjoying this. So, what are the implications, or tariff in terms of tariff and tax implications? One, we see that the significant reduction in tariff and the cost of trade would lower import prices and increase the purchasing power of consumers. Likewise, the removal of trade barriers and quotas allows consumers to access a greater range of products in domestic markets. The cheaper it is to export, the more will companies engage in cross-border trade. So lowering the cost stimulates the domestic and international economy by increasing consumption. Diminishing import prices may also reduce cost of imported raw material and intermediate inputs for the downstream producers. The cuts in production costs, therefore, increases competitiveness in the domestic producers. Trade liberation also allows domestic farms to access bigger markets and gain from economies of scale. These economies of scale might nevertheless bring up new challenges, because when large companies benefit from economies of scale, it could put the company in a dominant position and become very difficult for the SMEs to penetrate the market. Trade liberation may also increase the African companies' competitiveness and efficiency. In this, the competitive pressures require firms to be more efficient in the use of their resources, to increase their investment in research and development. And this will spur aspect of new technologies or production methods and the avenue to innovate. Stronger competition among countries and companies will stimulate innovation, workers' efficiency, and the development of the new technologies. As I go into concluding, the African Continental Free Trade Area will also facilitate the process of importing raw material from African countries and encourage multinationals to partner with the local farms to trade in raw materials. However, there are some challenges when we look at that may be faced with agribusiness and SMEs and the other sectors. The level of information flow to the agribusiness and SMEs needs to be enhanced to create awareness. Coupled with the conflicting rates, you realize that within the Africa, the arrangement, we have different regional economic communities, and like a case like Uganda, we belong to EAC, at the same time we belong to COMESA. And they have different tariff offers available. What we are looking at is that all these should be compatible with the framework that is being advanced at the African Continental Free Trade Area. Likewise, we also have various commitments at WTO, that World Trade Organization commitments, by unilateral, bilateral, multilateral commitments. These existing trade agreements should act as the building blocks of the African Continental Free Trade Area. Then the other aspect that we also have different standards and certifications. These standards also need to be harmonized. So reducing tariff alone is not sufficient, in that member states need to implement trade facilitation policies, look at the non-tariff barriers, and investment in infrastructure, and improve standard harmonization. It's very, very important. The African Continental Free Trade Area indeed provides a very attractive platform for boosting inter-Africa trade in the area of agribusinesses, where SMEs are key players. Like I was already alluded to this, that the African economies, most of them are agro-based, employing 80% and contributing 50% of its GDP. The tax and tariff implications show that there are benefits that will accrue from tariff liberation, resulting into duty-free and quota-free market access. The challenges, however, still needs to be overcome, especially on the aspect of when you look at the global chain, at the global chain, the aspect of competitiveness and connectivity is still a challenge to us, especially looking at the connectivity in terms of the infrastructure at the cross-border trade, and then the aspect of the digital platform. We're able to communicate with one state party to another through our borders. That digital connectivity, the administrations and all the agencies within the cross-border, in order to facilitate trade. So what it means that effort must be directed towards stimulating linkages in the international value chain and access to affordable financing, among others. And therefore, with the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area, the volume of value of the inter-Africa trade in goods is expected to increase, and we expect a lot of benefits and a good market for us, because we're talking about a market of 1.2 billion people. We are talking about a GDP of about 3 trillion, which is available for us. It's a great opportunity for the sector to explore, and for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Okaka. While we have this conversation, it's important also to consider if we have the right manpower that's going to manage this. Before the last speaker, who is here with us in Kampala, Sheraton, I want to switch to Dr. Patrick in Accra, Ghana, who runs the university. He's the founder of the university, Asheshi. I think it is pronounced that way. You'll correct me. Is Dr. Patrick on? Because I'd like to ask Dr. Patrick a couple of questions about the manpower development part of this whole discussion.
Yes, I'm here. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us from Accra. Are you in Accra? Let me first confirm this.
Yes, I'm in Accra. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, from the Kampala Sheraton. Patrick, a lot of the African universities are involved in a lot of innovations, but the innovations tend to stop there. How are we going to commercialize some of the innovations universities like yours and ours here in Uganda are doing with these young people?
Well, there are a number of things that I think are going to be very important for getting innovations to market. And these are things that we are working on at Ashesi University And I know that other universities are working on them as well. So the first thing is making sure that we have IP policies at our institutions that give intellectual property rights to the creators of that intellectual property. So in our view, the faculty and the students who come up with innovations should be motivated as much as possible to take those innovations to market or to sell that IP to companies that can take them to market. And without that IP sort of foundation, we all have this phenomenon that's happening where students and faculty do projects, they invent IP because they don't feel like they have ownership of it. It just ends up on a shelf somewhere or in storage somewhere. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, and by the way, I should say that Ashesi University has made a decision that all of the IP will go to the creators and not even to the university, because we want to maximize that incentive for them to actually go to market. And that's a decision that we've made that we've seen has worked well in places like the University of Waterloo in Canada. The second thing that needs to happen is that we need to have faculty and students really understand what the needs are in the market. So they should be coming up with designs and technology and intellectual property that have meaning in the economies in which they're operating. And that you can get that meaning either by engaging with the private sector and understanding what the private sector is concerned about, engaging with customers to understand what the gaps are that need to be filled, and generally looking at problems, looking for problems that need to be solved. One way that we do this at Ashesi is, we have one of the first courses that students take at the university is a course in design thinking. And one of the first projects they do in that course is something we call a problem festival. So we send students out to go into community, to go out into the economy and identify problems that are worth solving. And they're not supposed to come up with any solutions at all. Just look at problems, understand those problems, and understand what the gaps are. So somehow getting faculty and students to really understand that the first step to creating new intellectual property should be to do things that are desirable in the economy. And one of the ways to do that is understand what the problems are. The second thing we do is that we have actually what we call an entrepreneurship ecosystem at the university. So, and by that we mean that there's a set of courses that students take, of course, in entrepreneurship and business fundamentals and so on, and technology. But we also have a design lab where students can, outside the classroom, outside of their coursework, when they come up with ideas, they can go to the D Lab and go prototype the solutions to those ideas and go through the brainstorming process and all of that. And that's open to them throughout their 4 years at the university. We've set up a venture fund that supports that work in the D Lab. And that's really grants to students and faculty so that they can actually do prototypes and experiment and iterate. And then at the end of the 4 years of an undergraduate education, students will do a capstone project, they'll do an entrepreneurship project, and some of those will be selected to enter into the university's business incubator, where, again, they're getting investment funding to actually try and make a go of getting this product out into the market. And so that's the other thing that we have to do. And then finally, I think that we need to get a lot more intentional about making sure that the educational system that we're running across the continent is steeped in the context of Africa. And that requires, of course, that faculty are doing case studies using African companies and corporations that were developing content for textbooks and e-textbooks and so on, case studies that really get students to focus on what is needed here and what the problems are here. And I think if we do all of this, then we will be able to first get the human capital that will solve problems and be innovative, but also that we actually get these innovations and intellectual property actually developed that can be deployed into the economy.
Patrick, you have alluded to it, but I just want you to be specific here. What does the young graduate 2021 and beyond need to have to succeed?
Well, that's a very good question. They need a whole lot, right? So usually when we think about education, a lot of universities and schools think about academic content in some specific field that students have to know. But actually, that is just the minimum of what they need. What we really need is we need a mindset, and we need a set of attributes and characteristics that students need to have outside of their field of study. So things like having an entrepreneurial spirit really is about having courage. It's about having courage to take risks. It's about having courage to question the status quo, to come up with a new idea, and to actually try to implement that idea and persist through the difficulty of implementing that idea. It requires integrity and a level of ethics and commitment. And I say integrity sort of in the fullest meaning of the word. It's of course about not being corruptible and so on, and being honest, but it's also about really being committed to delivering what you promise to do, right? It requires powerful communication skills. It requires the ability to work well with other people and in teams, so interpersonal skills. And it requires a curiosity to sort of explore. So there are these things that we tend to call soft skills that students need to have, and that universities should make it their business actually nurture in students before they graduate, so that they can be very productive when they get out into the world of work.
Patrick, thank you very much from Kampala. It's goodbye to you in Accra. Thank you for joining us this evening.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
We have our final speaker, the most patient person in the room. Please give a big hand to Charles. Charles, thank you, and apologies for shifting the program.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon to everybody in the room and online. It's pretty impressive to have some speakers that come from Accra and other places in Africa. I'm not sure if I'm fully legitimate. I'm a French guy. It states it. Just to my defense, I've been 17 years in East Africa, out of which 12 years in Uganda. Henry, I have a request before I proceed. Would I be allowed to have a question to my colleague, Melissa, at the end of my presentation?
Yeah, we're going to have about 5 minutes of questions,
all right.
So you can do that.
Okay, great. So I'm going to advocate for agribusiness and not necessarily for the company that I represent. Next slide, please. No, I'm the one to... just a point. So I'm from Metajua. It's a company that I created after having worked in the coffee industry for a number of years in East Africa. And Metajua is a software company that provides a platform for agribusiness sourcing from smallholder farmers. So agribusiness subscribe to Metajua, and then they deploy a mobile phone with Metajua app into the field with their employee to profile farmers, to do audit in the scope of international certification or local certification, organic, fair trade, XYZ. They buy product from the smallholder farmers, and the data that is sent to a cloud platform is used by managers, supervisors to monitor the operation of the employees of those companies and let's say the performance in their relation with the farmers and many things that my colleagues here have already described. So it's used both internally for the business and it's used externally to communicate with the bank, with a financial entity, with investors, with clients, all the stakeholders of those agribusiness. Why agriculture? I've looked back at some World Bank, I think, statistic to see what's the segments of agriculture vis-à-vis GDP for Sub-Saharan Africa, and then Asia and European countries. And yes, it's very significant. We're looking at 20 to 30% of the GDP contribution. If we deep dive, the largest proportion of that production that goes to market and that is also used for food comes out from smallholder farmers, small-scale producers. Food security and employment, all of you have said it, it's extremely important. It's 60 to 80% of the labor force that is employed, mainly on family business, small-scale production. So whatever we do in agriculture will have an impact. If we grow the agriculture, it will grow altogether significantly the GDP of those countries, and it will have an impact on a very large size of the population. We've been talking about agri-tech, so I look back, I like precise things. So technology, it's the application of scientific knowledge for practical purpose, okay? Agriculture, I guess we know what it is. So agri-tech, again, we're looking at scientific knowledge for agriculture in a practical way. And the practical way will be improving yield, efficiency, and profitability. That sounds all right to increase, you know, the contribution of agriculture to GDP and to the population. So some example, I would say, relatively modern example of agri-tech. Drones, we saw some example, I think from Oracle, satellite photographies and sensors or remote sensings, IoT, weather forecast, biotech. It's huge. In the last 2-3 years, you know, this very large amount of money that is circulating in the world has finally, you know, I would say focus on agriculture and finding that there is a huge opportunity in agriculture. And so there is a lot of investments. Those are a few examples. Is it far away? It is. I mean, because it's mainly small scale producers, we're unlikely to see immediately a robot like this one to be used in a small farm. But the drones, yes. The big data, yes. The biotech, though I'm not necessarily a great fan. But research, practical research, works both for the large farm and for the small farms. So improving yield, efficiency, profitability in the definition at first, sustainability was not there, and I guess we need to add it. We'll talk to Wikipedia and maybe amend it. We need to add sustainability. So how do we do that for small-scale producers? So I've looked back, and that's the beauty of the web. It's like I looked at the entire world again and again, because this is something that, as a tech company, we do permanently, to look at what are the today solutions. I found an interesting business called DAT. It's an Indian company. They do something, I would say, relatively close to us, but pretty much, you know, focusing a lot on providing solutions for the smallholders themselves, whereas we are more focused on agribusiness. So they do, they provide automated support in terms of agronomy, input. You see this small shop. It's interesting. It's a very common traditional shop for input, like we would see in Uganda, but there is a smartphone next to it. So the tech is there, and the tech is there in the back end. They've raised $30 million in last few months. It's quite significant to work with smallholder farmers. And they've just bought a European company providing a very precise analysis for very small farms. So what I was talking about, remote sensing is for big farm, but those guys managed to take it down to the very small farm using IoT, using artificial intelligence. They are able to provide advisory services very tailored to those very small farms. Closer to us, Agric. They provide profiling of farmers, agro input, agriculture financing, extension advisory. So they have agents that go and collect data from the farmers, and then they provide those advisory services with support of the app. And then in turn, they can probably buy or recommend to sell the product. So it's a small ecosystem. Sun Culture, they provide pay-as-you-go irrigation pumping system. So this is again very tailored to the smallholder farmers. Allo Tractor, I'm not sure whether they are Nigerian or Kenyan, because they say they are, you know, they have a big office in each. Maybe, sorry, I didn't dig enough. So that's my last example. The title was Supply Tech versus Agri-Tech. Supply Tech is not really a common word. I've made it up, forgive me, but it matters. Supply chain activity, it's the management of natural resources, raw material, all the way to the finished product. And someone mentioned about the gentleman from Rock Telecom, Alexander, if I'm not wrong, you mentioned Amazon, okay? Amazon is the paradigm of supply tech, okay? And especially in COVID, we see the impact of this around the world, or Jumia here. The supply tech is something growing, and it matters a lot. Very close to us, we have an example with Twiga. They link the small-scale producers all the way to the small vendor in the street. This is supply tech, okay? I'm getting there. I can say we are supply tech, and I introduce agri-tech versus supply tech to nail the difference between. Sometimes it's a bit blurry, and I thought it was useful to do that. A practical case here is I'm showing, so again, it goes from the farms, I would say, all the way down to the shelves of product in a supermarket in Europe or in the US. And I'm just looking at this here. It's like, this is a tag that one of our clients, a cocoa maker, Latitude Trade here in Uganda, is using to put in his container that ships to Europe, then is going to be processed, and the end consumer will be able to flash the tag and have the list of farmers and some particulars attached to him. And a lot of consumers are attaching a lot of value to that. They want to know where the product is coming from. We had fair trade, we had certification for many years, but technology is bringing something that certification wasn't able to bring its, I would say, face, okay? But not face, you know, it's the St. Thomas. It's, I believe from what I see, and here I can see, I can almost give a call. Actually, it could be possible. We could have the number of the farmers, and a consumer could give a call to the farmers to see where, did you produce that cocoa? Was it good value? So again, my case, it's about tech, but it's about how do we generate data? Alexander, you've talked about data. You said it's a huge value. We are not in a space like elsewhere where the people who are the source of the data, if we talk about the farmers, okay, or the farms themselves, are generating data themselves, okay? We can't talk about crowdsourcing of data in most cases. Why? Because the farmers are not connected. Many of them have smartphones, but no, sorry. A very few of them have smartphones, and actually not so many have phones, just basic phones, okay? So it means you need someone who will go, and I'm sure all of us who have tried something in the field will say that go and collect data, not the technology itself, go and collect data is very expensive, okay? So my case here again is agribusiness. Long story short, why agribusiness? Because agribusiness have a long-term perspective in the field. This is what you've tried, I think, in Ballet, if I'm not wrong. Is it in Ballet or Cassese, sorry? It's like most probably you've looked at, is there continuity? Is there someone who has an interest not to collect? You don't profile the farmers and then get value out of it. You need to be there and continuously collect data, many different type of data, okay? So again, the case for agribusiness is those are the guys who have an incentive. It's the mere nature of their business to be in the field for a long time. And increasingly, they're using technology solution, data-enabled solution, so they generate some data. They could be most probably, you know, a cornerstone of an ecosystem of data. I would like to say the center because there's no longer a center. This is my slide here, but it's wrong. It doesn't look like that. It's a network, it's a web. What is the center of the web today? Nobody knows. It's the same thing. Here we're looking, all of us, we've talked about it. Value of data, blah, blah, sorry. You know, we are looking at, we need data, we want to generate some data because it would give us knowledge, okay? There is no center for this, but the agribusiness can play an immense role in this. I've tried to locate all the different players in that ecosystem, and I fit the bank and to say, yes, you, bank, and other non-farm service provider, you provide finance, you provide insurance, you provide FMCG, goods, whatever, you would want to tap into that market, but you can't be the only source of data. It's only meaningful if you collaborate, and that will be my question. So where do you fit? Where do we fit? Those guys, the agribusiness, they buy product from SSP, they interact, the small-scale producers, they interact with them, they store, finance, process, sell, package, export, support farmers. They have a long-term business cycle in the field, and they generate increasingly data about this. And you too. So what is your strategy? Most of us here, we've presented a strategy that shows that we've already understood the value of digitalization. Okay? I think I noted it down. There are 3 elements. Are we ready? Are we into digital? But the second thing, and it's, are we ready for two-way exchange? Because we might not be the Google. I'm not sure I want to be Google, okay? We're at the end of a cycle where we want to have measure who got it, okay? I love Rock Technical. I'm not sure that I want Rock Technical to be the center, okay? The master. Neither the bank, no offense, okay? We all play a great role. What is our core value? I remember business school, it's like, what is your focus? It's like, don't lose focus. We're not a data company, okay? Everybody is not going to become a data company. Most probably will be a bank and something a little bit, aside. You'll be a service provider of internet connection, and yes, you will tap in the data, but let's keep focus. So the question I want to make here is, on the second part, are we ready for starting to exchange information, okay, with others? Because the value is indeed in the pots, aggregated. So are we talking about an ecosystem? It's like, and this is my question, how are we engaging with each other, okay, to recognize the value, the specialty, our core business, and how do we plug in? Because there is a tremendous opportunity to leverage the smallholder farmers with support of agribusiness and with support of all of us. And this goes through the digitalization and exchange of data and opportunities. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
My question?
Yes, your question.
Sorry, I've been long. My question, sorry, Melissa. I would like you to clarify whether you collaborated with other, and I would say with other platforms on your model. Okay? Can I have another question, still related? Henry? Okay. Still, Melissa and Emma, it's about, let's say, financing. The last gentleman from Accra mentioned intellectual property. Sorry, I will take our case. So we're not an agribusiness, we're supporters. We had to go outside of Uganda to find finance. Okay, why? Because we generate something that nobody understands, apparently, at least from a finance perspective. It's, we create a platform that is hosted on cloud, okay? So I go to my bank, it's none of you, and I say, oh, can I have an overdraft? Oh, yes, sure. Do you have a collateral? Yes, I have a $1 million platform on the cloud. No, sorry. All right, so the question is, in this ecosystem, how will the bank play to recognize intellectual property and the value of digital assets? Thank you.
Thank you. Melissa, you can quickly take those questions.
Thank you. The first one is the easy one. The second one is the hot one. But yeah, the essence of how we are doing it is we have been self-reflective as a bank. We know our strengths and our limitations. So the premise of how that platform will work is through partnerships. So we are partnering with several players in that ecosystem. It includes the off-takers, it includes ag-techs or agri-techs, it includes the players on ground, the SACCOs, the cooperatives, and so we haven't embarked on this journey on our own because we know we won't be able to cover everything if we need to do so as quickly as possible for the smallholder farmer. The second one, that one we will have to take back and work through as a bank. We have not reached that level or cracked that, but it's a good one given the fact that we are advocating the digital space and are going places. So we must attach value to those innovations and intellectual property and sort of find a way or wrap our minds around how we then start to finance that space. Because if I'm to work with you on the journey of, say, the smallholder ecosystem, then you yourself should also should be able to access funding to be able to come to the table and provide what it is we require from you. So thank you.
Thank you very much. I do appreciate I've kept you here for 3 hours. I know that there are a few questions. I want to give 5 minutes before we close this panel to whatever questions may have come up. We've listened more and we've learned a lot, and I don't think that we'll lose too much if we don't answer the questions, but I hope that the Secretariat will send the questions to the people these were posted to for those that came online. Nelly, is there anything burning that we can deal with quickly before we close?
There's one question for Melissa, and another one goes to Dr. Okaka. So one is, Melissa, this is yours. Could banks support farmers through SACCO systems that seem to bring in collective responsibility and accountability? And then Dr. Okaka, continental free trade sounds great, but what can be done now in order for Uganda to trade with neighboring
countries before it can look further? That's the one Secretary was asking.
Okay, so let's take Melissa, your first question.
Okay, thank you. The SACCO route is actually how we intend to scale. We've found that as you've said, collective responsibility, it's easier to access the farmers and collectively hold them accountable as opposed to approaching them on an individual basis. I think probably I can expound briefly on the proposition that Emma did talk about around the SACCOs. We have a proposition for the SACCOs that we recently launched, and the reason as to why we launched it is because we realized that the bulk of this population does its financing or sort of savings through the SACCOs. And for purposes of financial inclusion, as well as for restarting this economic engine, we then sat back and, together with different partners, came up with an enterprise economic restart fund. And it is that fund that will allow us to actually push financing to the SACCOs in this country at very affordable rates, because it's the best way for us to get down to the last mile or the person at the end.
Thank you. Geoffrey, do you?
Oh, well, I never got the second part of the question, because what I heard is that African Continental Free Trade Area is great, but the second part of the question.
Yes, she's asking that what can be done now for Uganda to trade with the neighboring countries before they can look further to the African market.
Oh, thank you. Actually, when already for us, we already operating within the ESC, and the ESC are actually able to indicate that their tariff offers and the benefits associated with zero-rated goods, especially when you look at most of the agriculture produce, the agribusinesses in the value chain, most of them are zero-rated. But also for the cross-border trade, in order to facilitate the cross-border trade, we have a simplified trade regime, whereby we have the simplified, if you are trading in goods less than $2,000 within our borders here, you get a simplified certificate of origin, such as you benefit from the origin criteria in any of the countries within the ESC. We also belong to COMESA. Even within COMESA, it's the same, like on this other side of Western, this Congo belongs to COMESA. So we can also trade with Congo using that, the tax incentive, the tariff or tax incentive within that, because and within the COMESA framework, this cross-border trade, even you don't need even the certificate of origin. You can actually transport, especially looking at the agribusiness and what I would say, the agricultural products, and also the processed or manufactured products. We are trading at regional level. That's what I said, that right now, what we can benefit on, because looking at the framework within the African Continental Free Trade Area, for us as a country, most of our products which are zero-rated right now, it will take us 10 years to achieve that. But we can benefit from the regional markets that already exist. That's the ESC and then COMESA. Those are the two regional economic communities that we belong to. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Melissa, and thank you very much, Geoffrey, for responding to those questions. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm standing between you and a cocktail, and I don't normally do those things. So I would like to invite Emmanuel to give closing remarks, but I'd like to begin by asking you all to appreciate the panel that has given us so much in such a short time. Thank you very much. And also appreciate, I don't know if they are still online, but those of you still online can put in the chat that we appreciate Monir, we appreciate Jamila, and we appreciate Patrick, who connected with us from different parts of the world. Emmanuel.
Thank you, Henry, and thank you, all of you, Charles, Dr. Kaka, Melissa. We can't thank you enough. It's always a pleasure to have this summit. And this summit, as we all know, has one primary objective. That is to make sure we can work together as enterprises to change the narratives of Africa, one enterprise at a time. So to have companies like Rock Telecom, Stanbic, EcoBank. Oh, by the way, thank you, EcoBank, for having stood with us for 2 consecutive years, and then now we very much appreciate that. Okay, and now we have the new block, the new enterprise on the block, Stanbic, and we're also very grateful to you. I saw my good friend Emma, the executive director. Okay, we're very much grateful to all of you. Then, of course, East African Business Digital. And then, of course, we have our Sheraton Hotel, Rock Telecom. We're going to go very far, very, very far, because this is happening every year. And as you know, now with COVID, it has to be virtual. And this session is going the whole of East Africa. Next year, we are going the whole of Africa. So the whole of Africa, that's what is going to happen. So to our virtual participants and to those of us who have been able to make it to this place, we cannot thank you enough. We say thank you for all that you have done, and we're looking forward to working with you and also taking enterprises to the next level, one step at a time. So once again, Henry, on behalf of the team, Human Capital Uganda, I want to say a very, very big thank you to all of you, our great presenters, Munir from Dubai, the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, Patrick, and of course, for all of you who are here, we can thank you. Metajua, I was going through your presentation, and I saw the incredible things you guys are doing. I hope we can do closer work as we go forward. Yeah? Thank you one more time. And before we go, our virtual participants, there's a short poll that we want you guys to do for us. So, my friend David, if you can let it out so that people can sign it up. And then for those of us here, just a short, how do you call it? Bernard, is he ready? So if you can pass the papers around, from here we're going to have a cocktail, so please don't be in a hurry to go. One of the things we do at this summit is to build strategic alliances, network, and I'm sure you came with your business card. So please, a short paper is going around, just take a minute and complete this survey for us. We just want to know how we have fared. We want to know what next we can do and which area we'll have to better up. So please do so. Make sure you use your own pen. If you don't have a pen, sanitize before you. Very important, okay? So on that note, Henry, I'll hand it over to you, and I want to invite all of us to come for a cocktail. But please make sure you can complete that paper for us before
you haven't said where the cocktail is.
The cocktail is right here in the foyer, right here in the foyer. So once again, please don't be in a hurry to go. Network with somebody and make sure you exchange cards so that we can build it from there. Thank you.
Internet is not only important, but is part of us now. We use it in our studies, at work, home, and while going about our daily errands. However, An inconsistent internet connection is common and can be frustrating. But the good news is, we are here to the rescue. At Rock Telecom, we strive to promote integrity, dependability, innovation, customer service, and open-mindedness. Visit our website www.rocktelecom.co.ug for more information. Rock Telecom. Rock Telecom is licensed by the Uganda.
This right here is home. It is where I belong. I know I won't wait long for my favorite song. I can tell by the way the sun's coming up from the cloud, and I hear the sound from the mouth of trumpets and laughter. Yes, tomorrow's gonna be a better day. Tomorrow, it's gonna be a better day. Tomorrow, it's gonna be a better day.
For us, improving lives is why we do what we do.
Internet is not only important, but is part of us now. We use it in our studies, at work, home, and while going about our daily errands. However, an inconsistent internet connection is common and can be frustrating. But the good news is, we are here to the rescue. At Rock Telecom, we strive to promote integrity, dependability, innovation, customer service, and open-mindedness. Visit our website www.rocktelecom.co.ug for more information. Rock Telecom. Rock Telecom is licensed by the Uganda Communications Commission.
This right here is home. It is where I belong. I know I won't wait long for my favorite song. I can tell by the way the sun's coming up from the cloud, and I hear the sound from the mouth of trumpets and laughter. Yes, tomorrow's gonna be a better day. Tomorrow's gonna be a better day. Tomorrow's gonna be a better day.
For us, improving lives is why we do what we do.